All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA. Thanks for tuning into the Rich CELENZA show. So, what I want to call today's podcast is the pandemic bringing us all together? And this really kind of hit home for me yesterday talking to my mother, and she's been preaching this forever. And that is, she likes the way things are now, which I know with the coronavirus and everything, she doesn't mean everybody being sick or having to be quarantined or any of that. But what she did love recently, I guess you could say, is how everybody basically kind of put the brakes on and is spending a lot more time at home. And I actually also have a sick grandmother, my mother's mother, and we've all been, I just was in Chicago for my mother's surprise birthday party. She turned 70 and my grandmother was able to make it. And then we were supposed to also have a huge party for my grandmother as well. Probably about 70, 80 people. And obviously with this pandemic or this coronavirus, we weren't able to do it, which was very heartbreaking for a lot of us because we want to see her again. But what we did recently was my cousin put a big book together, and I'm the oldest grandchild of this generation, of this grandmother. I'm the oldest, I'm 50, and they go down from there. She made a beautiful book with photos of us, and then we talked about things regarding our grandmother. It's very emotional. It was really good. So we did a Zoom call where all of us got on there, and then my grandmother was there. They set it up where she got to see all her grandchildren on a big screen TV at my cousin's place, and then she read a paragraph out of each book. It was amazing. Right, even though we weren't there, and we have a massive family, so we're always together, but in this case, we all had to be in separate homes. We couldn't visit her, obviously, she's an elder, and we don't want to get her sick. Only a couple people were allowed there that basically live there, and one of my cousins, maybe. To make a long story short, my mother was discussing with me like how now it just seems like in the last couple of weeks, and I believe it to a certain degree, I keep saying it's like the 80s. And the 70s kind of. Even though we still have technology, we're still in the computer, but I don't know about you. But we've been kind of spending a lot more time, even with my girlfriend, because I travel so much. Her kids were eating so many meals at home, because I'm not traveling. And also communicating with a lot of my friends differently than just kind of bullshitty. We're all kind of checking up on one another. Seeing how everyone's doing. Who lost their jobs, who didn't. A lot of my friends are lawyers. A lot own their own companies. Let me get some water here. Sorry, I just had breakfast and brushed my teeth. Hold on a second. Yeah, so I've also been reaching out to a lot of my family members in Italy because they got hammered, obviously. And I have a lot of older relatives there. And I was able to spend some time there a few years back. And I love them very much, and it's heartbreaking. But what was quite interesting, even when I was there, is as far as being, we're kind of spoiled in the United States with everything we have, especially with medical. I'm by no means no doctor, but one of my daughters had a liver transplant. The other one is type 1 diabetes. So I've spent a tremendous amount of time in and out of hospitals, even dealing with doctors and nurses, and so on. And one of my uncles got sick in Italy, but you can just tell they're just not equipped. Not that anyone is equipped for something like this, but even as far as their facilities, and even physically, they're not equipped. I think a lot of people, no disrespect to Italy, they just don't take care of themselves necessarily, or they don't have basically what we have to take care of ourselves. Not only hospitals, I'm talking even fitness, information, facilities, workout facilities, hypothetically. It's just a different lifestyle. A lot of people there still smoke. They still smoke here in the United States. But a lot of them, I'm not going to say their eating habits are worse than ours, because I actually liked, but a lot of things there are very natural still, which was amazing with food. But then again, kind of the way, it's a different lifestyle. Let's put it that way. And some of it's not very healthy. And a lot of the lifestyle we lead here is obviously way almost more unhealthy, I think, with obesity and everything as well. But I do think to a certain degree we have a lot more opportunities to at least become a part of a culture that works out and does certain things. And I actually just did a podcast on that. A YouTube video I posted today. It's about being prepared for the unexpected, especially, from a physical standpoint. The better shape you're in your life, a lot of times the better off you're going to be, especially, say, going through something like this again. But not even being in shape, you could still catch anything. You could catch any virus. But if you do get sick, hypothetically, being in good shape or great shape is a lot better than being in horrific shape or obese. I mean, it's just a reality. Also, the video's about the unexpected if you get sick, right? Or if you get injured. If you're in good shape, you could kind of pull out of it a lot differently. But if you're already obese, hypothetically, and you hurt your knee and you can't walk now at all, or, what is that going to lead to? Or if you're just not living a healthy lifestyle, again, you get sick, what is that going to lead to? So the video is about trying to be in the best shape possible so you're prepared for when the unexpected happens. Also, if you have family members, friends, colleagues, whoever, that gets sick, if you're healthy, right, you can help them. If you're not that healthy, how are you going to help anybody else? I'm not saying it's your job to do that, but just think about it from that perspective, right? And also being healthy. Let me get some more water here. Being healthy in general, you don't realize you're setting an example for a lot of people, a lot more people than you'd think. That goes for your workplace, your family members, your kids, friends, colleagues, everyone. And that doesn't mean you have to be somebody who's in incredible shape. That's what I talk about in the video. It doesn't mean you have to go run a marathon, right? You don't got to do a Tough Mudder. You don't have to do all these extreme things. Just by being in decent shape or living a healthier lifestyle. That doesn't mean changing your entire diet, like I said, running hundreds of miles a month. It doesn't mean any of those things. It just means being in decent shape, and you'd be shocked at how a lot of people will follow in your footsteps or get interested, want to work out with you, learn about fitness. You may inspire a lot of people that you don't even realize. So back to the pandemic kind of bringing us all closer together, I also think a lot of people are passing away, which is horrific. I haven't heard anybody personally. My cousins in Italy said it's real horrible what's going on there. I can't even imagine. But it's brought, at least I could say, my family, like I said, coming together, and a lot of my friends. And also, there's a lot of funny things going on. And humor, people are getting upset, which I think sometimes gets ridiculous. I understand it may not be a time to always laugh, especially when something like this goes on. But if you lose your personality, I always said, if you're not laughing, you're dying. I think people need to lighten up, especially with funny memes, funny videos. If we all basically sat around and boo-hooed or were miserable or mad all the time regarding what's going on, I think for the most part, at least in my opinion, it's just going to make things worse. We do have to have some type of laughter or enjoyment. We need to figure out how to cure this, to destroy this, but at the same time, we can't sit around and just make each other crazy, argue, fight. We got to kind of flip this around. And and here's the other thing, which is kind of, I've been seeing, because I have so many, again, family members, that homeschooling, I want to give a lot of parents out there a lot of credit that are going through that have to stay home with their children, right? Homeschool them, cook for them, clean, keep them occupied, all these different types of things. All you parents out there that are doing that, you're doing an amazing job, and do not get caught up with what you're not doing correctly. I remember even with my daughter, who had a liver transplant, she was in and out of the hospitals for the first 5 years of her life. I mean, even when she was in pre-K, she dropped down to like 29 pounds. So we basically almost, I'm not going to say we homeschooled her or home hospitalized her. We did the best job we could with what we were put up against. And it never seems like it's enough. If you're a parent too, you want the best for your children, most likely. But what they're learning, and you weren't taught to teach them that. You have to admit, a lot of people aren't, they either forgot what they learned in school, or they just don't know how to teach what the kids are learning. Don't get too nuts on that and upset. Do the best job you can. That's all I could tell you. And I know you may be like, you don't know what you're talking about. We got to keep up because they have to do this and this and this. It's very stressful. Listen, I get it to a certain degree. I'm not going through that right now, but I did go through something similar for many years with both of my daughters in and out of school. And even having to travel back and forth to Chicago for doctors. It's very, and I know they're a lot younger, right? I get it. I wasn't teaching them things that were way out of my league. It was just basic things, but it's very stressful nonetheless. But please don't beat yourself over over that. Also, if you can, parents or whoever, siblings, older ones especially, take some time out to do physical activities. Try to, instead of parents and kids or whoever, teenagers, I don't care who you are, try to get during this pandemic, or especially if we're going to, I think starting Thursday, we have to stay home supposedly. Instead of letting yourself go and fall out of shape, try to get in better shape. Really take the time to figure out what's working for you health-wise and what isn't, and for your kids as well. And even cooking-wise, like a lot of us, I think, for many, many years have been very busy, not really paying attention to what we're always eating or what we're feeding our kids, or just the lifestyle in general. But I'm going to tell you right now, the better condition you are in, just like I was saying earlier that I was posting on my YouTube video, the better condition you are in and your kids are in, if you do come down with the virus, or just sick in general, could be the flu, again, the better shape everyone's in, the better off they're going to be. Because what I'm seeing a lot, though, is a lot of people being absolutely lazy, falling out of, really their rhythms, which is understandable. I think a lot of people just needed a break from life. And what's interesting, this is kind of giving it to them. Even my girlfriend, back to her, is she was always working. She travels. She oversees a bunch of different stores. And she was always busy doing that. I was always traveling. And then even when I came into town, we would explode and go do something. It would be either Disney, or we'd travel, or I would be traveling with her all over she does all Florida, Central Florida, and some of the South Florida. Or she would travel, I would travel with her, or she would travel with me. And then if it was a vacation time, she'd come with me. It could be Canada, it could be Hawaii, it could be wherever. So we were always on the go. And I've never had a normal kind of lifestyle with her. So for the last couple of weeks, or last month I should say, me not traveling, just chilling out at home with her. And I've been with her a while now. I've lived with her over 5 years, so I don't know how long I've been with her. But it's been a whole different thing. I've seen her now with her 2 kids being here, cooking all the meals, kind of having more of a family environment. I really didn't, of course I'm in a home that has a family environment, but I really didn't live a family environment, because when I came home, then I had to spend time with my kids, had to go see my father or go see my friends, because I didn't see them that often from traveling. So even when I was home, I really wasn't home. But with her, I've realized, even with work, she's actually downstairs at a Zoom call, I think, with a bunch of her colleagues, because they still have to work from home. And it's funny because they're all in their Disney wear and their clothes, and they're all laughing and talking about work. But it seemed like them not all having to travel, because they all travel a lot, and just being able to chill at their own home and socialize, talk about work, figure things out. It's really been an eye-opener for her. I think she's been doing a lot of work at trying to figure things out, like what's really working for her in the company and what isn't. And they've had a time to really settle in and think about that, not always be preoccupied with having to drive somewhere, fly somewhere, check in a hotel, do the work, get out, another conference call, go in for corporate, leave, do all those things. And I could see, too, with the girls, they're having fun again, it seems like, which is nice to hear, all of them kind of laughing, because I've seen a lot of conference calls, especially over the last, if you've been in retail over the last few years, it's been very stressful on a lot of people that work in that industry. But in this case, it's interesting to hear her do these conference calls, and they're laughing, and it's just a whole fresh take on things. And I think if we look at life to a certain degree regarding that, like it's a fresh take, I'm not saying this is a reboot, but it's been definitely interesting when you sit back and have time to go do things that you didn't have time to do before. So they keep talking about it online, a lot of people. I even heard Dr. Oz, which was hysterical, talking about sex. He told everybody to have more sex. I was laughing my ass off, but I was thinking on the back end of that, just make sure you protect yourself. Unless you want more kids. I know that's a joke, but seriously, be very aware of that shit. But if you want to study a language, like they're saying, and if you want to catch up on your reading, but not getting obsessed in front of the television, I don't think necessarily is a good idea. We can walk as long as we stay away from each other. I truthfully have not stopped working out. My townhome apartment complex, whatever the hell you want to call it, they did not shut the gym down on me yet, which has been wonderful. It's a decent small gym that I can get away with doing things. I'm going to probably sneak there later and spend a couple hours in there. You just got to keep wiping everything down in your hands and everything. But I hope to God, which I know they're going to close it probably Thursday, I'm going to go berserk. I never not work out. Only time I never worked out was a year where my daughter, we were in literally a hospital almost a year straight, almost. I lost like 40 pounds. It was a real long road. That would be the only time I really stopped working out throughout my life. And this, I'm sure, is going to be short. Maybe I'm going to look at the positive things. I'm going to start going out, and I've already been, besides working out a couple hours, hour and a half to 2 hours with stretching and warming up, I've been walking a lot, so I'm going to do that more. I'd like to sprint, but I hurt my ankle a couple months ago in Seattle, pretty bad, walking down the hill looking for an Italian restaurant like an asshole. They dug out the side going down a big hill. They dug out like where the trees are, and they were putting in new things to fill dirt and stuff, and my ankle snapped. And I've been pretty rocked ever since. So, anyways, yeah. So I just want to do a podcast on that, just my personal opinion regarding these things. And if you're someone out there, and I think about this a lot, people that are alone. Because when I travel, I'm always alone, which I actually like it. I get a lot of things done. Lately, I haven't been working on a ton of things, with the exception of maybe my YouTube channel and my podcast. I normally have all these different things I'm working on, writing books, writing screenplays, creating programs. It really entails a ton of work besides my regular work. But lately, traveling, like being alone and just having time to just watch YouTube or just think, it's not, if you like being alone like myself, I was an only child, I really like the break. But I realized too, now being around family again, kind of like it was in my past, I enjoy that as well, a lot. Because I've always been an extremist my life. I don't know why it's that way. It always was. So I'm either by myself, or then I'm in, say, Chicago, where I have literally hundreds of cousins. Got tons of aunts, uncles, family members. So my life was like that even with my mother after she got divorced. It was just me and her. And then all my other aunts, uncles had really Italian massive families. Very big families. Most of them never had less than 4 kids, and some would go up to 7, 8. So I'd always go from one extreme, a very quiet apartment with my mother, and then I would be stepping into these family environments where it was a madhouse, which I like both. I fit in very well at both. But if you are out there and you're alone, maybe it's a time to reflect, and if you do have friends, family members, or people that you love or that you miss, you might want to reach out to them. You can't always expect others to reach out to you if you're not willing to reach out. And you hear all the time, and I always talk about this with my friends, family members, everyone. I'm like, hey, have you talked to this person? No, you know what? A phone works both ways. They could text me if they, all that. They don't have time for me, I don't have time for them. All that type of shit. A lot of times you just got to be the one to reach out. Some people just aren't good at that. Some people may think you're aggravated at them. Maybe you had a falling out. Maybe they're just too goddamn busy. Or maybe the other person is going through hard times, right? A lot of people only look at their perspective on things. You're not living somebody else's life, but maybe they're alone too. And now I would think is a perfect time, if you want, to reach out to ones that you love, right? Because you never know, not only with the virus, but if you have time, maybe go on, if you're on Facebook, reach out to a bunch of friends you haven't communicated with. Ask them how they're doing. See how their family's doing. How's their kids doing? Whatever's going on. If you're, that could be on your, on your list, just your phone in general, texting others that you haven't heard from in a long time. So one thing I will say about Facebook, I love, I have people on there, family members that, from Italy, from all over place all over North America that I can communicate with, that I reach out to, and then when I travel, I get to see them. Even if I don't, I still reach out to them. Most of the time, I realized, which is interesting because I very seldom ever talk on a phone, but I'm always reaching out to them, like I said, either through a text or Facebook, maybe even an email, or even on LinkedIn. And a lot of people on LinkedIn, let's say, for instance, I don't know them personally, but I have a really good relationship with them, communicating through LinkedIn. And they know a lot of them. I always wanted the best for them. I would try to help them if they needed a job or they want a contact. Ooh, that just reminds me, I got to send somebody an email. They were looking for a list to help them. Anyways, those are the type of things that I like to do to help. I really want to help people. And I'm working on my I wish I could have completed my app called the You Around, which is an app to help people in a time of need. It's a personal app that you'll be able to reach out to everybody and send out if you need anything or somebody needs something. And you could send 20 people, say, a mass text, but everybody sees it individually. And then when you respond, nobody sees the correspondence. But you could send out a mass text, which is amazing, especially if you are somebody who needs something or if you're willing to donate something as well. So I worked on that for many, many years. Didn't complete it. If there's ever been a time I think where it would be an amazing tool is right now. But I just got to finish that. So anyways, I'm going to wrap it up there. If you get a chance, you might definitely want to check out my YouTube channel. Just my name, Rich CELENZA. You could go to richcelenza.com, actually, and see everything on there. It's got all where the podcast is, all over the place. YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I have a Mastering Self-Confidence program, too, where I try to help men master their self-confidence. So I'm going to wrap it up there. All right, so everybody, don't get too nuts. Life is meant to be joyous, and, sometimes we just forget about one another. We even forget who the hell we are, I think, at times in our life. If we just sat down and relaxed, I've done a podcast on that. Just learn to sit down, chill, and become self-aware of all the things you have and all the people you're surrounded by and all the people that you love and that love you. That goes for everyone. Family members, friends, colleagues. And here's the thing. I'm going to tell you, they're not all going to be here forever. Either are you. So if you got to get something off your back, if you got issues, try to work them out, man. Don't wait. If you got issues, you don't want to talk to somebody. Say it was years ago, you're pissed off at them, they're pissed off at you. Let that shit go, man. Just let it go. I don't think it's ever worth it. Now, if it was something extreme, that's a different situation. But a lot of stuff, if you look back at our life, all the grudges, all the anchors, I call them, that we carry around, all that negativity shit, cut them off. Let it go. Move forward, especially if it's your siblings, parents, grandparents, close friends, man. Just try to squash that shit and just go enjoy life with them. Life's too short. All right, take care.